So, you finally made it. Well, welcome to the city then, Chumba. You have picked the right place for right things to do, as long as you keep it to yourself. The place, this world, in general, is a violent and dangerous place, filled with people who would love to rip your arm off and eat it. The traditional concept of good and evil are replaced by the values of expedience. You do what you have to do to survive. If you can do some good along the way, that's great, but don't count on it. Other than that, just keep in mind, this place is all about good fun, sex, drugs and rock and roll. And if you need some guns, we got them as well. We got automatic weapons, grenade launchers, anything you want, really. This is, after all, a modern city. And a night city is placed just for people like you.
Night City is as much of an important character in the cyberpunk world as any person.
The chance to begin again in a golden land of opportunity and adventure.
The history of this city is colorful, turbulent, and full of violence. Back in 1994, it was a suburban sprawl between San Francisco and Los Angeles. It was a beautiful place. However, years of pollution, neglect, and one of the most corrupt governments in the world have reduced most of the city into clutter, semi-deserted sprawls with burned homes, empty shopping malls, and rampant street crime. It was originally planned as a Coronado city, back when Richard Alex Knight still ran the place. Now you might be wondering, who is Richard Alex? Well, he's the one who started it all. He's the founder of the city that you see. During the collapse, an enterprising land developer and a person with a great foresight, he bought the majority of the land of what was later to become a corporate center and city center. His dream was to start a new, safe, and a clean corporate city, free of crime and urban blight. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out as planned. The problem was that Richard preferred to use his own advanced building techniques and materials, and he didn't want to do anything with the old established unions or construction firms. He had his own plans. He wanted to keep to them. However, that didn't sit tight with the organized crime syndicates. 4 years after initial construction, the gang bosses murdered Knight and took over the Night City project. The council named the city after him in honor or something, but that didn't do much good, did it now? And from then onwards, it was spiraling downwards and things became from bad to worse. It was grim times, Chumba. Between selling contracts to their cronies, setting up drug and extortion rackets, and generally inviting the scum of the collapse into the area, the gangs managed to turn a relatively clean and modest city into a embattled war zone. Crime, drugs, prostitution, random violence and cybernetic terrorism soon became the rule of law. By 2005, the name Night City had taken a grim and deadly meaning. This lasted till about roughly 2009, when the corporation decided that they've had enough. In lightning strikes, covert solo squads eliminated most of the gang leaders and established corporation-controlled city council. The newly elected council, faced with chaos in the city, deputized corporate security forces and allowed them full authority within city limits. The corporate and city centers were cleaned out and restored to their pristine state. But that's as far as corporate generosity really extended, really. Rest? Well, they were left fend for themselves. If you're thinking about taking your input to some of the Rocky Boy raves outside of city center areas, then there are a few things you should keep in mind. You will need at least a couple of solos to accompany you if you wish to get around, simply because the whole area outside of city center is like a battlefield. Bodies lying in the gutters, looters, rioters everywhere, firefights between the booster gangs, crazies and other more sinister individuals roaming the streets. You better arrange a techie to meet you at your destination to patch you up, cause trust me, you will need it. And the only way you will leave this city is in a body bag, cause once you're here for good. So good luck out there.
What are you laughing at, loser?
It's just... I feel good. It's been a while.
Now Chumba, you might be wondering, what about the cops? Well, the police in the Night City, there are some, but they are scattered, poorly equipped and badly managed. Cops are often bribed or convinced that they would look the other way rather than get involved. I mean, who would blame them? Just look around you, wouldn't you? However, saying that, there is a glimmer of hope. C-SWAT, the most incorruptible people on the force. The Cyber Psycho Squad, as they call them, those are pretty much the Grazies, the top of the notch. They catch the worst of the worst. These determined and dangerous mavericks and loners are just too crazy to care about being on the take. Trust me when I say this, you will want to get the frack out of their way, or you might end up staring at the end of their barrel seconds before your brain splatter across the wall behind you. They go into places that no one else would dare to go, and those are the people that you and me should be afraid of and worry about. As far as the corporate area, well, they have law of their own. Those areas known as a corporate zone are heavily patrolled by hired security. They do have some pockets of urban blight still infesting around Marina, Harbour and Lake Park district. However, the crime in these controlled zones is kept in check by brutal security sweeps and constant surveillance. And if you ever are unlucky enough to venture into South City, a place called Combat Zone, where there is just no law whatsoever, well then good luck, because no one will come to get you. You're there out on your own. Don't come back to me crying. Well, if you come back at all. The corporations control the world from the skyscraper fortresses, enforcing their rule with armies of cyborg assassins. On the street, booster gangs roam a shattered urban wilderness, killing and looting everything on their way, with the rest of the world in a perpetual party, as the fashion model beauty techies rub their biosculpt jobs with the battle-armored road warriors in the hottest clubs, sleaziest bars and meanest streets on this side of the post-Holocaust. The future never looked so bad, but you can change it. You've got interface plugs in your wrist, weapons in your arms, lasers in your eyes, biochip programs screaming in your brain. You're wired in, you're cyber enhanced, and solid state as you take it to the fatal edge where only the toughest and coolest can go. Why? Because you are Cyberpunk.
Personal responsibility, personal responsibility.